Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. My name is Nick Larigakis, president of the American Hellenic Institute. And on behalf of AHI, our nonprofit independent Greek American Public Policy Center, it is my pleasure to host a virtual celebration, a congressional salute commemorating the 201st anniversary of Greek independence. Longtime AHI members, supporters, and friends know we have proudly organized this event annually on Capitol Hill. And as we look forward to our return to hosting events there, hopefully before this year is out. But we are just as excited to hold today's virtual program. We have a very special program lined up today. In addition to our Hellenic Caucus co-chairs, Carolyn Maloney and Gus Bilirakis, and members of Congress, our distinguished guest speakers include His Eminence, Archbishop of Eleutheros of America, the Ambassador of Greece to the United States, Alexander Papadopoulou, and the Ambassador of Cyprus to the United States, Marios Lysiotis. And we're in for a treat. And George Theodoridis will sing the Greek and American national anthems. Ladies and gentlemen, ancient Greece gave birth to the ideas and principles that are the foundation of Western democracies. As such, all Americans share in the Hellenic spirit, which is embedded in the DNA of our Constitution and at the core of our cherished liberties. The American Revolution was inspired by the same ideas of enlightenment which inspired the Greek War of Independence. The American people manifested their adherence to these ideas through their ardent vocal and humanitarian support for the Greek cause. The celebration of Greek independence is an important reminder for free citizens around the world. The Hellenic ideas that yielded democracy and the rule of law must be defended, as we see brave Ukrainians doing against an unjust invasion by Russia. Or else we can expect a slow erosion of the very principles that provide the underpinning of our society. Only anarchy would exist without the rule of law. American Philhellenes understood these ideas and principles all too well. Their support, especially those serving in Congress, such as Daniel Webster and Henry Clay, to name a few, were critical. Those members spoke eloquently on behalf of the Greek cause in the US Congress, and their stirring remarks mobilized American citizens to raise funds for the Greek cause with events held in major US cities, and even inspired Philhellenes to leave the United States to go to Greece and join the cause for independence there. As we mark Greek independence today, I quote President Joe Biden from his proclamation that he issued, and I quote, "We honor our country's deep and historic bond, forged in the struggle for liberty and self-governance, and the many contributions of the modern Hellenic Republic, which promote international peace and stability and uphold shared values," end quote. The president also described Greece as a, quote, "crucial NATO ally that promotes peace and stability in the Eastern Mediterranean and broader region," and paid homage to the contributions of the Greek American community to our society. Indeed, after 200 years, the US-Greece relationship has reached new heights. Outgoing US Ambassador to Greece, Jeffrey Pyer, described relations as being, quote, "all-time high." Congress demonstrated this fact with the enactment of the US-Greece Defense and Inter-Parliamentary Partnership Act in December. Friends, it is a pleasure to celebrate the enduring strength of the Hellenic spirit and the shared American Hellenic ideas that have served the foundation of strong US relations for 2 centuries, with the Greek American community's congressional champions, our modern day versions of Webster and Clay, if you will. And to get us started today, ladies and gentlemen, we will begin with the Greek and American national anthems. And for that, we have the honor of having with us an extraordinary talent, George Theodoridis. He is an archon. He's a music instructor of the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese of America and director of music arts of St. Sophia Cathedral here in Washington, D.C. Yorgo, we look forward to your renditions. And we lost them. We lost the connection. The first glitch of the day. Mr. Ambassador, I'm going to have you go first, and Madam Ambassador, I'm going to have you follow him since his time is just a little bit short. Master Lysiotis, let me have you give your greetings today, if you will. Can't hear you, on mute.
Good morning to all of you. Your Eminence, Congressman, Your Excellency, dear Ambassador Papadopoulou, distinguished guests, I'm honored to join you today in this congressional commemoration of Greek Independence Day. The heroic struggle of the Hellenes for liberty and self-determination was not a local event. It was an event of European significance. It transformed the political and spiritual landscape of Europe as a whole. The example of a small nation rising against a mighty empire inspired the peoples of Europe, and its message of independence and liberty resonates, as Nick pointed a few minutes ago, even today, 200 years after the event. As we commemorate and honor the War of Greek Independence, in which Cypriots from all walks of life actively participated, part of our country, Cyprus, is still under Turkish occupation. Inspired by the same universal ideals and values of freedom and independence, democracy and the rule of law, we continue our struggle to reunify our island through a lasting and comprehensive settlement. We are heartened that in this effort, we are not alone and that we may count on your unwavering support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. And I do see a couple of congressmen who have joined us here. You will forgive me that I go directly to them at this time, and I will put them in the order that they appeared. And that's Gus Bilirakis, who is the co-chair of the Hellenic Caucus, Republican from Florida, a longtime co-chairperson of the caucus, which his father started many years ago with Carolyn Maloney. And Gus, it's always a welcome to have you here today, and we thank you for the support. And of course, we always produce this event in cooperation with the Hellenic Caucus. So Gus, Zito Elada, the floor is yours.
I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Zito Elada, Zito Ikipromas, Zito Ikosipepti Martiu. Nick, I'm in Florida because believe it or not, I broke my ribs.
Oh.
And yeah. I wish I could say it was a football. I wish I could say it was a football injury, but it's not. But this is so important. The Greek Independence Day, we can't stop. And you never skip a year, even with the COVID. And virtually is better than nothing at all. So hopefully next year we'll get together. I do want to say that, I'm very proud, obviously, this, and I think the people watching of my Greek heritage. And I'm particularly proud of the Greeks of today as well, because they've stood up for Ukraine. They stood up for the rule of law. They're standing up for what is right, and not only with words, but action. And unfortunately, they're going to pay economically. Greece, obviously the last few years has been had a very difficult time economically and with COVID, but we always overcome, as Greeks, always overcome, whether it's in Greece or in the diaspora as Americans, Australians, what have you, Germans, we always overcome, we persevere. That's true with the Cypriots as well. And I want to thank AHI, the American Hellenic Institute. I believe you started this, Nico, because of what happened, the invasion of Cyprus by the Turks. And I appreciate what you've done, and you've hung on in there so much. And don't think we haven't made a difference. No, we haven't achieved our goal, but don't think we haven't made a difference. I have a few heroes here that I want to talk about briefly. Kolokotronis, Theodore Kolokotronis was basically the general and he was the lead. He made it all happen. Of course, Bishop Yermanos raised the flag on March 25th, and that was the Annunciation of the Virgin Mary. So that's why they picked that date. But Bubolina, who gave it all, she really did, her finances, what have you. She raised the flag, I believe, on March 13th. Her island was specifically officially picked March 25th because we do everything with the support of our Lord. And others, the battle cry was Eleftheria y Thanatos, which means give me liberty, give me death. The Women of Suli. Watch that movie if you possibly can, Cliffs of Freedom. You probably will be able to get it on Netflix because it tells a story. Now, it's not 100% accurate. It's a movie, but the theme is there and the spirit of the Greeks is there. I do want to say one more thing. I went to Greece and we plan on going to Kodel in a couple of weeks, to tell you the truth. And Nick, I wish you could meet us there. We're going to be in Cyprus and Crete, and then we'll go to Sicily, Kodel alone, and it's all about energy and telecommunications. But I went to Greece in this past October. I went to the island of Galimos, where my grandparents were born, and I asked about the war, and I knew about this battle, the Battle of Gerondan, which was off the coast of Galimnos, but off the coast of most of the islands. The battle took place, and it was to save, initially to save the island of Samos, and it ended up. The battle ended up, of course, the Greeks were outmanned, and the Turks had their allies, mostly from North Africa, but the Greeks were outmanned, and once again, they persevered, won the battle. I don't know, can you hear me?
I hear you, but I can't see you.
Yeah, I know, it's messed up again, but now you can see me.
I see you.
They won the battle, and they carried Miaoulis, who was the admiral. And he was top 5 hero, Greek War of Independence. They carried him on their shoulders, the Kalemians did, and took him to the Panagia, a little monastery called Panagia, and he prayed for 3 hours on his knees, thanking Panagia, the Virgin Mary, for the victory. So it was pretty amazing. I saw the plaque there and how he came up the hill. And my mom's last name, maiden name, as you know, Nick, is Miaoulis, but we haven't found a connection yet. Share that story, because that's how I feel about this. We must never, ever forget what our forefathers and all the Philhellenes too, Lord Byron, what have you, what they did. 400 years of Ottoman rule. We kept our customs, our traditions, our language, our more importantly, our religion. And you got to give the priests so much credit for doing so, because they taught, they had the secret schools. So in any case, I'm going to stop talking now, but I appreciate you very much, Nick, and I appreciate all of you for participating today. God bless you. And again, Eleftheria y Thanatos, what those Ukrainian people are going through. They're fighting like Greeks. And in my opinion, we've got to support them because they want to preserve their democracy. Thank you, and God bless you.
Well, thank you very much, Gus. And as the Ukrainians are fighting for their freedom and democracy, unfortunately, the country of Cyprus is still divided 48 years later with a NATO army, with a NATO ally. And that's unacceptable too, but that's for another day and another time. We do have 2 members of Congress here with us. Now here's where I have always a little bit of a problem, so I'm gonna ask you to help me. We have Dina Titus, both on the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Dina Titus, of course, is in the majority, but Chris Smith has been there longer. So by protocol, who should go first?
I yield, let her go first, please.
Dina, the floor is yours. Thank you, Chris.
Well, thank you, Chris. I was going to yield to you, but I appreciate your gallantry. And thank you, Nick, for always bringing us together. I look forward to this. I wish we were in person, but this is a good substitute. And I'm nice to see our ambassadors. Welcome, and hope, please know our office is at your service anytime. You know, I always learn something when I listen to Gus tell some of his stories and some of his adventures, and today was no exception. And I certainly join him in celebrating Greek Independence Day 200 years or so ago. And it's a very trying time in the world today. And as Nick mentioned, I sit on the Foreign Affairs Committee and the subcommittee for Europe that includes Greece and Cyprus. And so I sought that out because these issues are so important to me. Most of you know that my grandfather came through Ellis Island. That's where I get my name, Costandina. His last name was Cathonis. They changed the spelling of it, of course, like they often do. But I grew up kind of in the kitchen of his restaurant in South Georgia, and there weren't a lot of Greeks around, but we were very proud of our heritage. And I've told the story how we had to go to Jacksonville, Florida, just to get some Kalamata olives and cheese. They didn't have them in the little town where I grew up. They also didn't have a Greek church, which was unfortunate. So I only could learn the language from him, like count to 10 and sagapo and do this, and that gets you a lot of places in Greece. So I appreciated that. You know, right now I serve on the Hellenic Caucus and also the Hellenic Israeli Caucus. Gus mentioned the CODEL that's looking at energy. There's certainly a lot of opportunities for cooperation and development of energy among that kind of 3+1 group that's served by that caucus. And you know, we look to Greece for so many things. You are an ally in a very kind of dangerous neighborhood. You set the tone for what's happening in the Balkans. You are working with us on tourism and energy development, and Israel as well. Situation with Turkey remains so unstable and uncertain that you know, I don't see much improvement there. It ebbs and flows, but now all the focus is certainly on Ukraine. And not only do they want to share our democratic values, but the church there is an Orthodox church that also needs to be protected. It's not exactly the same, but it's certainly very similar. So those are the things that are occupying our agenda these days, but we certainly have also put forth the funding for the, I think what's the acronym? I had it written down here. IMET funding, defense funding from the U.S. for Greece, and we certainly will not back off of the need to reunite or reunify Cyprus. And so, you know, those things come from the heart with me, and anything that you all need or that we can do, please let me know. And if you have a chance, come and see us in Las Vegas. Dick and I often joke about Greeks liking to gamble. We know they don't, but yes, they do. And so our economy is coming back. We had the highest unemployment in the country because we were so dependent on travel and tourism, but it is coming back, and you are always welcome to come to District 1. The church is in that district, and we have our wonderful festivals in that district, and hope we might be able to see you there. So thank you for letting me join you, and my door is always open. If God is up.
Thank you, Dina, and I always enjoy coming out to your fine city and imparting on some of my money there as well. You mentioned the 3+1. It's an exceptionally important concept in the Eastern Mediterranean. And to that effect, just to let you know, in about a month from now, a mission of the 5th biannual mission of Greek American organizations and Jewish American organizations, we will go to Greece, Cyprus, and Israel to reinforce and underscore the importance of the 3+1. So thank you once again. At this time, someone I've known for many, many years. As a matter of fact, we go back so many years together. He was a keynote speaker at a program I hosted at Trent State College back in 1982, both from the same college. A good friend and a true fighter for religious freedoms throughout the world, for human rights. Somebody who understands the issues and the importance of the rule of law it's a pleasure to have with us Chris Smith. Chris?
Nick, thank you so very, very much. And happy Greek Independence Day, at least a couple of days late, the 25th. To you, Elias, and all the friends at AHI, thank you for your leadership, which has been absolutely extraordinary. I mean, you really helped to keep all of us on Capitol Hill far better informed than we otherwise would be, and motivated. And I can't thank you enough. And to see Gus, who is a great leader, and I hope his ribs heal. Hope to hear more about that. I hope you're doing well, Gus. And Gus is such a great leader here. And Dana, great to see you again. I hope to get out there too and visit, like Nick and everyone else. We all love going out to your district. And I would also say, my great grandparents, some came through Ellis Island as well, but they were from County Clare and County Cavan. They were not from Greece, they were from Ireland. So we do share, that great love of ancestors who came here seeking the beauty of this wonderful country and its freedom. So thank you again for having me on. It is important that we recognize March 25th as a date for it's both a celebration of independence from centuries of Ottoman rule, or better put, misrule and repression, and also the Feast of the Annunciation or Incarnation. For we cannot forget how significant is orthodoxy to the soul of the Greek people, which has sustained the Greeks during those dark days of the Ottoman rule. Obviously, it's a robust Christian faith, always faithful to the good news of Jesus Christ, which animates the Greek people, and thus it is perfectly fitting that we recognize both the day which Greece was freed from the bonds of political oppression and the day the message that the Savior of the world would be coming to free all of us from the bonds of sin when that was proclaimed. As many of you know, I've been a consistently strong advocate, and of course, Nick, we go back 40 years. I'm now in my 42nd year here as a member of Congress, and a strong advocate of the need to preserve the rights of the Patriarch of Constantinople and to protest incursion upon the rights of the Patriarchy by President Erdogan and his government. I've called, like my colleagues who have just spoken, for the reopening of the Halki Seminary and protested Turkey's efforts to turn both the Church of Saint Savior and the Hagia Sophia into mosques. And I've also repeatedly condemned the looting and wholesale destruction of the religious patrimony of occupied Cyprus by Turkish occupiers. And I've actually chaired congressional hearings on that as well. Indeed, today, sadly, we see another attack upon the independence and autonomy of the Patriarch from another quarter, often overlooked amid the carnage that is taking place in Ukraine, is that one of the pretexts that Putin used to justify his horrific invasion is his objection to the Patriarch Bartholomew's decision to recognize the autocephalous nature of the church in Ukraine in 2019. Russia's invasion of Ukraine also underscores the importance of Eastern Mediterranean energy as an alternative for Europe to Russian gas. I like you and those on this Zoom continue to urge the Biden administration to support the Eastern Mediterranean energy and related projects, such as the pipeline, which would bring gas from Israel and Cyprus to Europe via Greece. Indeed, it is inexplicable why this administration would reverse the support of the previous administration at this time, when independence from Russian oil and gas is so critical. In other areas, however, the United States has strengthened its ties with Greece, including extending and upgrading the Mutual Defense Cooperation Agreement last year, which allows U.S. forces in Greece to expand training and operations in conjunction with Greece's defense forces, and something which Nick and AHI has long advocated for. During this period of war in Ukraine and tension in the Eastern Mediterranean, we must be forever mindful of the importance of this strategic partnership with our great and faithful NATO ally, Greece, and how our naval presence at Suda Bay is critical to keeping peace in the region. Indeed, earlier this month, and I commend the Pentagon for this, they sent KC-135 Stratotanker aircraft to Suda Bay to strengthen the aerial refueling capabilities of our U.S.-European command. And as my good friend Dina just mentioned a moment ago, the greater IMET funding, which was in the NDAA, is extremely important. The NDAA also includes the U.S.-Greece Defense Inter-Parliamentary Partnership Act, which strengthens ties between Greek, Cypriot, Israeli, and U.S. legislators. Thus, in this time of turmoil and political uncertainty, it is important to underscore the friendship between the U.S. and the great people of Greece, and to acknowledge the great contribution that so many American citizens whose parents and grandparents hailed from Greece and Cyprus have made. Again, I thank you, and a happy Independence Day to Nick, to you, and all those who are with you.
Chris, thank you so much, touching on so many important points of the Eastern Mediterranean. All of them, we could have a Zoom presentation. However, now we need to continue with our program. And I want to thank her for being extremely patient. I know her schedule is very tight as well. And now the exceptional, wonderful ambassador of Greece's ambassador to the United States, Alexandra Papadopoulou, who's doing just an absolutely magnificent job here under exceptionally difficult conditions over the course of the last 2 years because of COVID. But she has become just even more and more involved in outreach. And she is on every possible Zoom, supporting every organization and every cause, as she projects her government's and her country's message to the U.S. policymakers and to the Greek American community. So Ambassador Papadopoulou, it is really a great honor to have you with us here today, and we give you an opportunity now to say a few words.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you so much. And I think we should all thank the American Hellenic Institute for its traditional congressional celebration of Greek Independence Day, which by now has become an anticipated staple of the Greek American community. Also, please allow me to extend a special thank you to the Congressional Hellenic Caucus and its co-chairs, Representatives Gas Pirakis and Carolyn Maloney, for their unwavering support on issues that are important to both our nations: freedom, democracy, human rights, and rule of law. 25th of March this year marks the end of the celebrations for the Bicentennial of the outbreak of the Greek Revolution, a struggle that the Greek people were determined not to lose, a struggle that led to the birth of the Greek state and its quest for its rightful place in the world as a free and independent country. An event inspired by the American Revolution, which in turn inspired the world and other nations to break loose of the yoke of empire. It was the Greek Revolution that led to Greeks winning the freedom to shape their own future in a state of their own, within an international system of nations, as they yearned and dreamed of for 400 years under Ottoman rule. It was this revolution that helped Greeks reconnect with their national identity, preserved through 400 years of hardship as a sacred gift of their ancestors, and built their young state on the foundations of our glorious heritage. And as the great historian Mark Manower writes, with the success of their struggle, one story ends and another begins. Today, we celebrate the beginning of the new story as we honor the 201st anniversary of the outbreak of the revolution. We celebrate the beginning of a new century, inspired, enriched, and enlightened by the gained insight from last year's national and individual reflection, as well as the insights gained through the celebration of the Bicentennial. We embark on a new chapter in the history of modern Greek state, a chapter that is waiting to be written. As a free and democratic nation located in an empowered yet highly volatile region of the world, the Eastern Mediterranean, we face the challenges and opportunities of the future with seriousness and great determination, and why not a healthy dosage of optimism. But we're also realistic. We live in highly challenging times. We know quite well that all of us in Europe are facing unprecedented challenges. All of us, Europeans and Americans alike, are living in difficult times, life-defining times. And this is precisely the time that we need to stand by and with each other as we strive to find a solution to the horrifying developments around us. Greece's Prime Minister Mitsotakis has clearly expressed Greece's position as we stand at the crossroads of history. Greece, being an integral part of the world of freedom, stands united with its partners and allies in the quest for democracy, dignity, and self-determination. Greece, who provided the world with the ideals by which all of us strive to live, cannot and could not be absent from the fight of our generation. And in this, All of Greece's political forces are united because all Greeks know from hard experience what invasion and occupation do mean. The memories of 1974 are very much alive. We will never condone this kind of behavior on behalf of anyone. As we celebrate our Independence Day, Greeks around the world remember that freedom should never be taken for granted, nor our way of life, our democratic institutions, our democratic governance. We should be vigilant and ready to fight for them and preserve them, for us and our children. And this is a lesson we both, Greeks and Americans alike, have learned the hard way throughout these past 200 years. We fought next to each other, always together, always on the right side of history. Χρόνια πολλά, ευχαριστώ. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Ambassador. As always, very eloquent and to the point. And now we will go back to how we were supposed to begin the program. We lost George's connection. So George, we are now look forward to the rendition of the Greek and American national anthems by you. And my understanding is for the audience, this is going to be his first time on Zoom, but I'm sure it's going to be wonderful. So George, it's all yours.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you. With your permission, I will be standing for it. Σε γνωρίζω από την κόψη του σπαθιού την τρομερή. Σε γνωρίζω από την όψη που με μετράει τη γη. Απ' τα κόκκαλα βγαλμένη των Ελλήνων τα ιερά και σαν πρώτα ανδριωμένη χαίρεο χαίρε ελευθεριά και σαν πρώτα ανδριωμένη χαίρεο χαίρε ελευθεριά και σαν πρώτα ανδριωμένη χαίρεο χαίρε ελευθεριά. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Bravo, Yorgo, bravo.
Thank you, Nick.
In person, live, pre-recorded on Zoom. Still an exceptional rendition. And I thank you very much. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. My pleasure.
From here on out, we are expecting one or two more members of Congress to come on live, but we have a number of them who were not able to participate in person. So they have sent in videos, including His Eminence Archbishop of Villaflores, who happens to be on the West Coast on a trip, and it's a little early on that side of the world. So he sent us in a video, which I would like to play now. So Vimo, if you can please cue up His Eminence's message. We cannot hear it. Still can't hear it, Dimo.
Congressional Hellenic Caucus, fellow Greek Americans and Philhellenes. I am honored once again to address you and convey my blessings and best wishes for the American Hellenic Institute Congressional Salute to Greek Independence Day. Last year, in the midst of the pandemic, we observed the historic bicentennial of the Greek Revolution. It was an anniversary of tremendous significance for Greeks and Philhellenes around the world. As in the American bicentennial in 1976, the commemoration elicited great emotional and patriotic fervor. 1 year later, we have made tremendous progress in our society's physical health with vaccines and public health policies that have reduced the pandemic to a much more manageable situation. But the world is still threatened, and even more so by anti-democratic forces that have been unleashed in Europe. This is why our commemoration of the immortal heroes of 1821 is even more vital than ever. Tyranny and autocracy are attacking democratic values around the world. The unjustified and barbaric invasion of Ukraine reminds us of why we must remember that the price for freedom is costly in every way. It was true in 1821, it was true in 1776, and it is true today. That is also why the American Hellenic Institute's annual observance of the Congressional Salute to Greek Independence Day is so important. It reminds all of us that vigilance in the name of liberty can never be let down, not even for a moment. For there will always be those who grasp at power and forget that it is the people themselves who grant power for the purpose of service. And that is why having the honorable members of the United States Congress present for this occasion is so significant. The Capitol is, above all else, the people's house, the place where the representatives of their respective electorates bring to the fore the issues that pertain to citizens' interests. The right to have this level of participation in one's government is fundamental to democracy and is at the core of the revolutions of 1776 and 1821. Therefore, I congratulate American Hellenic Institute for its annual commemoration of Greek Independence Day, the March 25th celebration that takes place not only in Greece and Cyprus, but throughout the global Greek diaspora. May God bless the United States of America, the Hellenic Republic, and the Republic of Cyprus. Thank you.
We thank very much His Eminence and as always for his inspiring message. There were a couple members of Congress who sent in statements to be read, of which I'd like to read one of them now, and that's by Carolyn Maloney from New York, who is along with Gus, is the co-chair of the Congressional Caucus, and allow me to read her statement. 201 years ago, Greeks proclaimed their nation's independence. As the birthplace of democracy and representative government, Greece continues to play an important role in the world as a key voice for those who find themselves oppressed by tyrants. I continue to stand with my friend, Representative Gus Bilirakis, as co-chair of the Hellenic Caucus in working to protect both Greece's culture and sovereignty. From calling for the return of the famous Parthenon marbles, addressing mistreatment of Greek minorities through my ecumenical patriarchate bill, ensuring respect for Greece's sovereignty over the whole of its territory, and continuing to press for increased cooperation between Athens and Washington. Our leadership will continue to prioritize these issues of critical importance. I am pleased to celebrate Greece's independence once again with the American Hellenic Institute, Representative Carolyn Maloney. And as Gus referred to Bouboulina earlier, a heroine of the Greek War of Independence, Representative Maloney has come to be known as our Bouboulina on Capitol Hill for all her years of work in promoting the U.S.-Greece, U.S.-Cyprus relationship. So we thank her for sending in the message. And now we do have 4 video messages from 4 U.S. senators. And we'd like to start with the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, a true friend regarding the rule of law and for the importance of a U.S.-Greece and U.S.-Cyprus relationship, and that's none other than Senator Bob Menendez from New Jersey. And Dimo, can you please go to the video of Senator Menendez?
Kalispera σας. At such a momentous and critical time in the world, it is an honor to speak with you to celebrate and salute Greek Independence Day. I want to thank the American Hellenic Institute for inviting me and for its enduring commitment to a healthy and strong relationship between the United States and Greece. And I'd like to especially acknowledge Nick Larigakis for putting on this event and for his leadership. I certainly hope he has fond memories of his college days at the College of New Jersey. Just last week, I was pleased that the Senate Foreign Relations Committee passed my bipartisan resolution honoring the 201st anniversary of Greece's Independence Day. Because the Hellenic Republic is not only a vital NATO ally and an important American partner, as the birthplace of democracy, Greece influenced and inspired America's founding fathers in the creation of our own nation. Last summer, I traveled to Athens and had the honor of speaking in the shadow of the Acropolis on the unlimited possibilities for U.S.-Greece relations. It was the experience of a lifetime, one that I will never forget. At times like these, when war is taking the lives of innocent civilians, including Greek nationals like those killed by Russian bombs in the early days of the invasion, we have to stand up for democratic principles. When Russian airstrikes come within only 15 miles of a NATO member country, we have to defend our values. Indeed, Russia's invasion of Ukraine is a stark reminder of the threats of authoritarianism to democratic societies everywhere. That is why I am incredibly proud to have led the bipartisan effort on the U.S.-Greece Defense and Inter-Parliamentary Partnership Act of 2021, which Congress passed in December. It supports Greek military modernization. It authorizes the new transfers of American military equipment, and it reaffirms Congress's commitment to strengthening bilateral ties with our Hellenic partners who play a pivotal role in securing regional security and economic prosperity. I have long been a supporter of a strong Greek-American relationship. We share bonds of history, we share bonds of culture, we share bonds of family, and we share a commitment to security and democracy. So on this Greek Independence Day, let us reflect on the values we share, and let us reaffirm the deep bonds that connect our two great nations. Efaristo.
We thank Senator Menendez for sending in this video. And you can't say enough about what Senator Menendez has done in promoting the U.S.-Greek, U.S.-Cyprus relationship and bringing to the forefront the illegal actions of Turkey upon the Eastern Mediterranean. And for those of you who are not aware, he's the author of the Eastern Mediterranean Security and Energy Partnership Act of 2019. and the U.S.-Greece Defense Inter-Parliamentary Partnership Act of 2021 that he just alluded to. So we thank Senator Menendez for sending in the video. And now we'd like to go to two senators from here, our adjacent state of Maryland. And that is, we'll go with Senator Ben Cardin first. He's on the Commission on Security and Cooperation in Europe, referred to as the U.S. Helsinki Commission. And he's the chairman of that. And he sits on the Foreign Relations Committee and the longstanding relations to Greek American community in Maryland. Demo, please, Senator Ben Cardin.
Hi, I'm Senator Ben Cardin of Maryland. To the sacred birthplace of democracy, I would like to congratulate Greece today on marking 201 years of its independence. Our shared beliefs in democracy, freedom, and the rule of law are the foundation to our bilateral relationship. I recently co-sponsored a resolution in the Senate that celebrates the evolution of democracy in Greece and its influence on our democracy. Similar resolutions have passed the Senate repeatedly over the years. It is a true testament to Congress's unwavering support for Greece and for our enduring relationship. It also celebrates the large Greek American community in the United States who have greatly contributed to our society, and especially to their contributions to the state of Maryland. Again, I would like to congratulate you all on your Independence Day. I am confident that our bilateral relationship will continue to prosper and grow in the coming years as both of our countries work together to advance democratic principles around the world.
Thank you, Senator Ben Cardin. And now we'll go to his other colleague in Maryland, the other U.S. Senator, long time friend and supporter of the AHI and the mission of the Greek American community and the issues of the Eastern Mediterranean. And that's none other than Senator Chris Van Hollen, who's also on the Committee on Foreign Relations and the very important Committee of Appropriations. Senator Chris Van Hollen.
Hi, I'm Chris Van Hollen, and I'm proud to represent Maryland in the United States Senate. And I'm especially pleased to be joining my good friend Nick Larigakis and the entire AHI family as we mark the 201st anniversary of Greek independence. This anniversary calls on us to honor the brave patriots who fought against the Ottoman Empire for the right of Greeks to live freely and determine their own destiny. This day reminds us that we must be ever vigilant. We must not take freedom for granted. We must nourish it, and we must be willing to fight for it. The lesson of this day is especially important at this dark hour of war in Ukraine. Putin's unprovoked invasion is a direct assault on democracy, on the rule of law, and on the right of the people of Ukraine to self-determination. The good news is that the United States, the European Union, the NATO alliance, and partners across the globe have banded together to answer this aggression with unity and with action. And Greece has been a key leader and partner in these efforts. Together, we are proving that our coalition of democracies is strong. Freedom and democracy, ideas born in ancient Greece, have helped light the way for Greece, for the United States, and other freedom-loving countries around the world. And we must continue to carry that torch. It's in that spirit that I'd like to thank the entire AHI family and your partners for hosting today's celebration, and wish everybody a very happy Greek Independence Day.
We certainly thank Chris Van Hollen for his message today, and we appreciate him sending it along. And again, another strong fighter for the rule of law and human rights issues across the world. Next and final senator who has sent in a video is Senator Gary Peters, a Democrat from Michigan, who sits on the Armed Services Committee, but who chairs also the Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee, and keeps very close ties with the AHI members in the Greek American community in the state of Michigan. Senator Gary Peters, please.
Hello, I'm U.S. Senator Gary Peters, and I'm absolutely thrilled to join you to celebrate Greek Independence Day. The United States and Greece proudly share deep-rooted bonds. It was Greek institutions and ideas that ultimately gave the way to the American experiment and laid the foundation for democracies all across the world. Much like the United States, Greece was founded on the idea that people, and not kings, should choose the leaders and values that guide their nation. Some of our country's most fundamental principles were birthed in Greece, and these principles continue to serve as both the bedrock and North Star of our democratic republic. Generations of Greek immigrants have enriched what it means to be an American, and I'm proud that Michigan is home to a vibrant Greek American community. So as we celebrate 201 years of Greek independence, I look forward to working together to strengthen the rich and enduring partnerships between our two great nations. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Peters. We will now transition to members of the House with their messages. We are expecting one member of Congress still to join us live at approximately 12 o'clock. The rest are via video, and one that is in a written statement, which I will go ahead and read now. And that's from Donald M. Payne Jr., who is from my old state of New Jersey. He writes, Dear President Larigakis, I am proud to help celebrate your congressional commemoration to Greek independence. It is important to celebrate Greek independence because of the contributions the Greek nation and culture have contributed to the world. The ancient Greek city-states inspired the American founding fathers when they wanted to create the United States. Modern Greece is a country where several independent communities came together to form a powerful nation. In Congress, I have worked to continue strong relations between the United States and Greece. I support the Eastern Mediterranean Security and Energy Partnership Act to show neighboring countries that the American commitment to liberty is unwavering. Also, I have repeatedly called on Congress to urge England to return the Parthenon marbles. The marbles belong to Greece, and their return would restore the Parthenon's heritage. I am working to convince other members of Congress to support that. So congratulations on your celebration of Greek independence. The Greeks have inspired people with their arts and culture and continue to inspire people worldwide. Donald Payne Jr., member of Congress, state of New Jersey. We thank Congressman Payne for sending the message and for his continuing fight for issues revolving the Greek American community and for the important issue that sometimes does not get enough attention, but is critically important to the cultural heritage that is modern day Greece, and that is the return of the Parthenon marbles. So we congratulate him on that. And so now, ladies and gentlemen, while we wait for that one member of Congress to join us live, we will continue with no specific order regarding the rest of the videos that we have with members of Congress. And that's the next one will be Nicole Maliotakis from New York, Greek American member of Congress. She's half Greek, half Cuban, has worked with AHI on HR Resolution 376, condemning Turkey for its illegal occupation of Cyprus and encouraging President Biden to make the resolution of the Cyprus problem a top foreign policy priority. In her first term, she has really risen to the occasion and advocated for many of these issues that all of us espouse to here at the American Hellenic Institute. So, ladies and gentlemen, Nicole Maliotakis.
Hi, it's Congresswoman Nicole Maliotakis wishing all of you a happy Greek Independence Day. I want to thank the American Hellenic Institute and its leader Nick Larigakis for hosting today's event so we could celebrate our Greek heritage, culture, and of course Greece's independence from the Ottoman Empire. As a member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, the relationship between Greece and the United States is incredibly important, and I'm proud to sit on both the Europe Subcommittee as well as be the ranking member on the International Development Committee. And together we issued a resolution out of our committee that condemns Turkey's aggression in the Mediterranean around the Greek islands, as well as its illegal occupation of Cyprus. We're also pushing the Biden administration to not sell F-16s, which Turkey requested earlier in the year. And we're ensuring that we do everything we can to increase the economic cooperation, the energy independence cooperation between Greece, Cyprus, and Israel. I look forward to continuing to work with all of you to advance the causes of our two nations and ensure that we continue to have a very strong relationship when it comes to economics, when it comes to military cooperation, when it comes to energy, and of course making sure that we push back on aggression from Turkey or any other adversaries in the region. Thank you, everyone. Happy Greek Independence Day. Zito Ielas.
We thank Congresswoman Matiotakis, and keeping with the tradition of members of Congress from New York who are very supportive of Greek Independence Day and of course of issues regarding the Greek American community. We go to Representative Grace Ming, who's been a longtime participant in the AHI Congressional Salute to Greek Independence Day program, and she sits on the very important House Appropriations Committee and the Subcommittee on Foreign Operations, Related Programs, and Homeland Security. So, Representative Ming.
Congresswoman Grace Meng from Queens, New York. First, I want to say thank you to Nick Larigakis, President of the American Hellenic Institute, for inviting me to speak today. As a member of the Congressional Hellenic Caucus, I'm proud to wish Greece a happy Independence Day. Today we celebrate the Greek people's fight for independence and powerful bond between Greece and the U.S. The U.S. and Greece have shared a long and storied relationship, and I'm pleased to have seen it only grow stronger in recent years. I want to extend my thank you to Greece for its support of Ukraine and the Ukrainian people during this crisis. However, the American Hellenic relationship isn't just about foreign policy. It's about the great friendships right here in America, too. As a representative of such a wonderful and active Greek American community in my district, it has been incredible to see how the Greek community contributes to our local culture and the small business community right here in Queens. As Vice Chair of our House Appropriations Subcommittee on State and Foreign Operations, which funds the international assistance activities of our federal government, I work to advocate on behalf of the Greek community in my effort to strengthen the U.S.-Greek relationship. Just last month, I met with a large delegation from Greece, including the alternate Minister of Foreign Affairs, where we discussed key foreign policy and economic issues that our two governments could benefit from collaborating further on. I look forward to continuing to advance the American Hellenic relationship and to celebrate with my constituents back in Queens. Happy Independence Day.
Thank you, Congressman Ming. And next, we will go to the very important chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, who is also from New York, Representative Gregory Meeks, who has very strong relationships there with many prominent Greek Americans out of the New York area. So it is an honor to have with us today via video, Chairman Meeks. Unfortunately, there's a problem with the video, and therefore we're not going to be able to have that. We apologize for that. We will go now to Chris Pappas. Chris Pappas is out of New Hampshire, first-term congressman who's doing a terrific job in terms of elevating the issues of the Eastern Mediterranean to the best of his capabilities, and he's doing a marvelous job. He also led a congressional letter to oppose the sale of the F-16s to Turkey. Congressman Chris Pappas.
Hi, everyone. I'm Congressman Chris Pappas. And as a proud Greek American, I'm really honored to help commemorate the 201st anniversary of Greek Independence Day and to celebrate our shared history. I want to thank the Orthodox Archdiocese of America and Archbishop Elpidophoros for bringing us together and to mark this occasion, which is a great celebration. Greek people have demonstrated an incredible spirit and courage throughout the course of their history, and they broke free from Ottoman rule 201 years ago. They've continued to show resilience in the face of adversity and a strong commitment to our shared democratic values. America and Greece both embody that same spirit and that same commitment to democracy. And it's really changed the history of the world, particularly at this point in time. As we watch the events unfold in Ukraine, we're all reminded that our shared fight for democracy, for human rights, for our shared values really matters. The relationship between Greece and America has never been more vital, and it's never been as strong as it is today. So at home and abroad, Greece should serve as an example that we should not sit idly by when we witness injustice, and that we need to keep the common interest alive by continuing to pursue life, liberty, and happiness. So happy anniversary. I hope everyone is doing well and staying safe. And thanks for coming together to mark this happy occasion.
We thank Chris Pappas. Our next speaker is Representative Louis Gohmert from Texas, Republican, who sits on the House Judiciary Committee and the House Committee on Veteran Affairs. And he too was the signatory to the congressional letter to oppose the sale of the F-16s to Turkey. Congressman Gohmert.
I am Louis Gohmert, a servant in the United States Congress, and it's indeed my honor to pay tribute to the historic battle and war for independence that Greek had over the Ottoman Empire. The Greek War for Independence, as I'm sure you well know, began in 1821, went on for 7 years into 1828, at which time a victory resulted that was so consequential historically. It was a rejection of servitude against tyrannical power. It was a welcome of things like freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly. So many of the freedoms we take for granted now, all as a result of winning independence from the Ottoman Empire. As you probably know, founders of these United States were quite proud of the Greek people for standing up against those totalitarians who would take away their freedoms, prevent freedom, and subject them to servitude. People like Thomas Jefferson, James Monroe. Of course, you probably also know Thomas Jefferson passed away in 1826, 50 years to the day after our Declaration of Independence in America was brought forward. Same day also that fellow founder John Adams passed away. So he didn't get to see the victory over oppression that occurred 2 years after their death in 1828. Some point to potential evidence that Turkey's current leader would like to see a reemergence of the Ottoman Empire and see that empire governing all the way around the Mediterranean Sea again. This means we cannot allow power-lusting people to use their liberty to take away the liberty of others, so long as enough good people stand firmly against those powers of oppression. Thankfully, we currently have allies in the area who agree with us that we should prevent any person or group of people from establishing any empire, no matter how grandiose they may make it sound. We will always be grateful for the role that Greece played in the creativity that first led to complete democracy many, many centuries ago, which, as you know, later evolved into the idea of a modified democracy where people would elect representatives who would democratically govern their people. If we ever lose our freedom here in America, though, we know such noble concepts will be in danger of disappearing from the earth for decades or centuries, or perhaps permanently. For a country like Greece, from whom we have learned so much about self-government, we must stand strong together to ensure our own future. This is a necessity for the nation that has been so massively blessed, as we in the United States have been. So may God bless and keep you, bless and keep the nation of Greece, and thank you for your own dedication to freedom as we stand together against the powers of tyranny. Thank you for caring.
We certainly thank Congressman Gomer for that very appropriate message. We have with us now live and in person via Zoom, Congressman John Sarbanes. John obviously needs no introduction in terms of the tremendous work that he does on Capitol Hill in the promotion of the U.S.-Greece, U.S.-Cyprus relationship. And as a sidebar, John, I guess Greek Independence Day celebrations continue, and we just had the opportunity, both of us were in Baltimore sitting on a stage watching a parade go by where we're still trying to thaw out 2 days later. It was one of the coldest days we've had in winter, and it's spring. So, John, we welcome you, and it's always a pleasure to see you. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Nick, for the opportunity just to stop by. Thank you to AHI for convening, as you always do, this recognition and remembrance of Greek Independence Day, now the 201st year that we're celebrating it. I enjoyed being with you the other day. As you say, we are just now thawing out from the frigid weather, but I think the expression is cold hands, warm heart, and the heart of every Greek, Cypriot, Greek American, Cypriot American, and Philhellene is warmed when we think about the struggle for independence and ultimately the success in achieving independence of the modern Greek state in 1821. And we couldn't celebrate the 200th anniversary much last year in person together, so we're kind of making up for that this year with the parades around the country and lifting up how important really the Greek commitment to democracy that obviously goes back to ancient times has served as an inspiration for Americans, for the United States. We know our founding fathers drew heavily upon the example of the democratic institutions of ancient Greece, and the Greek philosophy focused on freedom and self-determination. That's helped to power us forward. We like to think, I believe it's true, that when modern Greece was struggling for its independence from the Ottoman Empire, that it was in turn drawing on the power of American democracy that was flourishing at that moment. So there's sort of there's an interplay here, a constant reinforcement of democratic traditions and freedom, and bringing attention to that every year is very meaningful. I think this year particularly so, as we look at this battle across the globe between pro-democracy forces and anti-democracy forces. Most obviously taking form now with this invasion of Ukraine by Vladimir Putin and Russia. But it really sort of brings a clear focus to this struggle that we're seeing around the globe. And I do have to say, because I can't restrain myself, that I hope the United States is taking notes on who's standing in strong solidarity in the efforts to push back on Russia's actions right now, and who is not. Greece and Cyprus come to the coalition with a posture, as always, one based on shared values of no questions asked. We're here, we're solid, we're strong, we're part of the team. We're going to stand with the United States and the West and with NATO and European allies in pushing back against these encroachments. By contrast, unfortunately, but not unsurprisingly, we see that Turkey wants to sort of pay lip service to that role, but when push comes to shove, is really not stepping forward in the same meaningful way to demonstrate that solidarity despite its status as a member of NATO. And those of us who pay close attention to these issues, again, are not surprised by that. But as I say, I hope, you know, it's difficult, obviously, in the moment under conditions like these for the United States and the administration and the State Department to kind of take on that project of Turkey not stepping up in the way that it should. But I hope they're taking good notes, and I hope the memory will be long, not short, when it comes to Turkey's behavior in this situation, which is just another set of exhibits to be added to the volume full of exhibits over a period of decades, that when we need Turkey to stand with us in a meaningful way, they typically are not there. And hopefully that experience will inform, when we get to an opportunity, a different opportunity, to really map out a new strategic architecture relative to Turkey. American foreign policy will be informed by having taken good notes in this moment, and as I say, adding it to the notes we've already collected over a period of many years. Because if we're celebrating Greek independence, we're celebrating democracy, we're celebrating freedom, we're celebrating the principles of self-determination, and we know what that means in terms of the experience of modern day Cyprus, and we know what that means in terms of choosing which side you're going to be on when you're a country like Turkey. So Nick, thank you, and thank you to AHI for the opportunity to join with you. I didn't mean to get so much on that topic, but it's sort of irresistible in the moment to do so. Zito Elas, Zito e Kipro, Zito e Meriki, que Zito Eleftheria. Thank you all so much.
No, thank you, John. And no, I think your comments are spot on. And we have always said here at the American Hellenic Institute, and we will continue to do so, that Greece, as an ally of NATO, has always been a faithful and reliable partner in that regard, and has always stood tall with Western interests, Western values, and specifically U.S. interests. And unfortunately, as you mentioned, Turkey once again has sidestepped its responsibility as a partner of NATO of coming on with full sanctions. And unfortunately, in so doing, provides a situation where there's a loophole for sanctions to bypass through Turkey, as they've done in other times with Iran. So it's important to bring these things up, to remind our policymakers, the State Department, the administration, and the rule of law cannot be applied selectively in the world order, in the post-World War II order. And when it does be applied selectively, we get into problems, and precedents get set, and these precedents get used as examples. And for us, 1974 and 48 years ago is the prime such example, when a NATO ally, Turkey, invaded with a NATO army, the free country of Cyprus, and of which it still remains there 48 years later. And today you have a European Union country that is divided and occupied by a NATO country called Turkey. So we need to be, well, Ukraine is first and foremost, because of the human crisis that's happening there, we cannot lose sight also of what's happening in the Eastern Mediterranean by Turkey, a NATO ally, and what it continues to do on a daily basis in its provocative actions regarding challenging Greece's sovereignty, even till today, 201 years later, after freedom of Ottoman rule. Turkey continues to, unfortunately, not behave in the proper context of a proper neighbor, even in 2022. So I thank you once again, John. I appreciate it always, and be well. Thank you.
All right. Take care, Nick. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Ladies and gentlemen, we do have two more members of Congress, and that will conclude our program. So we have two more videos, And let's go to Representative Chuck Fleischman, Republican from Tennessee, who's appeared on a number of AHI events in the past and who sits on the Committee on Appropriations.
Hi, I'm Congressman Chuck Fleischman. Congratulations to the American Hellenic Institute on the occasion of Greece's Independence Day. The United States-Greek relations are at an all-time high. I'm really excited about that. I'm especially excited about the great contributions made by the Greek American community in my home state of Tennessee and across the United States. There are key recent developments that show a deepening of the United States-Greece defense relationship. The United States and Greece recently signed an extension of an upgraded mutual defense cooperation agreement. In addition, the United States and Greece continue to hold joint high-level military exercises together, which are key to protecting and defending all of Europe. I look forward to the coming years to see this close relationship grow even stronger. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you to the Congressman. And now for our last video presentation this morning, I'd like to go to Representative Ted Deutsch. Representative Deutsch is on the House Foreign Affairs Committee and also on the House Judiciary Committee and House Ethics Committee. He is also the founder, along with Gus Bilirakis, of the Congressional Hellenic Israeli Alliance, otherwise known as CHIA. Representative Deutsch will not be seeking re-election, but will actually be the next incoming president of the American Jewish Committee. We congratulate him on his new position. We look forward to work with him closely in that regard. But for now, we welcome him and his video message regarding Greek Independence Day.
Hi, it's Congressman Ted Deutsch. Thanks to the American Hellenic Institute and my friend Nick for inviting me to speak at the Congressional Salute to Greek Independence Day. Greece is a key partner and NATO ally, and the U.S.-Greece bilateral relationship is strong and deeply rooted in our shared commitment to democracy, rule of law, and regional security and stability. I am so proud to join you today to honor Greece's Independence Day. The founders of the United States drew inspiration from ancient Greece's example as they framed the U.S. Constitution and formed the world's first modern democracy. These shared values have guided our friendship for more than 2 centuries, and our relationship is stronger now than ever, fostering security and prosperity for both our countries and the broader transatlantic alliance. As chair of the Middle East, North Africa, and Global Counterterrorism Subcommittee, and the founding co-chair of the Congressional Hellenic Israel Alliance with my good friend Gus Bilirakis, I have long had the pleasure of engaging with members of the Hellenic American community, most recently at the Delphi Forum. My commitment to the U.S.-Greece relationship is unwavering, which is why I co-authored the U.S.-Greece Defense and Inter-Parliamentary Partnership Act, which authorized robust defense cooperation and military education and training programs between our 2 countries. As we all witness Russia's unjust invasion of Ukraine, such coordination and cooperation are more important now than ever. I'm a strong supporter of the 3+1 mechanism and the trilateral alliance between Greece, Cyprus, and Israel. And such cooperation in the Eastern Mediterranean serves as a model for the region and for the rest of the international community, and it lays an important foundation for energy, security, economic, and diplomatic cooperation for years to come. That's why I'm proud to have co-authored the Eastern Mediterranean Security and Energy Partnership Act, and recently held a joint hearing with the Europe Subcommittee on how the U.S. and Congress can expand regional cooperation in the Eastern Med. I understand firsthand the importance not only of a robust U.S.-Greece bilateral relationship, but also promoting regional partnerships and alliances in the Eastern Mediterranean. I am so proud that we have seen consistent and strong bipartisan support in Congress and across administrations for these initiatives, and I absolutely know that this important work will continue and expand in the years to come. Thanks again to the American Hellenic Institute for engaging on these important issues and for putting this event together. I wish the people of Greece a year of peace, prosperity, and good health as we celebrate another year of Greece's independence.
Well, we thank Congressman Ted Deutsch, and as I said, we certainly wish him Godspeed and congratulations on his new position at the American Jewish Committee. Let me also just add, even though today we celebrate Greece's independence, since we're only a few days away from April 1, just wanted to mention that April 1 was the beginning of Cyprus commemorating Cyprus's commemoration of the 67th anniversary of the 1955-59 struggle of AOCA against British colonial rule, which ultimately gave way to independence in 1960. So we want to, make our audience aware of that important date that's coming up in 2 days as well. This is maybe another all-time record. We are 40 minutes ahead of schedule. We allocate obviously 2 hours for this event because we don't know exactly the amount of people who are going to participate and how they're going to participate. But we've gone through everyone today, and no one else is expected to come on. So we will now begin to close this program. As I said a few minutes ago, it is equally important to remember that in many ways, the struggle for Greek independence continues by virtue of the fact that Greece's sovereignty continues to be challenged today by, unfortunately, its neighbor and NATO ally, Turkey, by its continuing violations of Greek airspace, seaways, and its continuing illegal occupation of Cyprus 48 years later. Our brethren in the country of the Republic of Cyprus who continue to struggle with a divided island. So the fight is still not complete as far as I'm concerned, ladies and gentlemen, and we need to keep the eye on the ball. And while all the focus, and rightfully so, again, should be on Ukraine and the humanitarian crisis that we've seen unfold on our TV screens over the course of the last month, and we pray and hope that that will come to a swift conclusion very soon. But again, we cannot tolerate violations of international law, violations of the rule of law, and violations of human decency and moral values that is the basis for our Western democracies. But as I said, also, we need to keep an eye on those who are our friends as well, and those who are our allies, and to call them out as well. And while Ukraine, and we hope that ends soon, Cyprus continues to go occupied, and I got a feeling we will need to refocus that attention as soon as possible there, as soon as the Ukraine crisis comes, to an end, and hopefully soon. But we have to be respectful of the rule of law and call out friend and foe alike. And we cannot be selective in terms of how we apply those standards of international law. Otherwise, we become hypocrites in terms of how we apply them only to our enemies. We will end here. I will ask Vimo to please put up the sponsors. We cannot do events like this without the support of our friends, members, and supporters. And I certainly like to thank all those who participated as sponsors to today's program. You'll see their names there on the right from different parts around the country. And I also, of course, want to thank the staff of the American Hellenic Institute, Yola Pakchanian, Evangelia Papaioannou, Vimo Theophanopoulos, who also acts as our director of the program here today, who was putting up all the various videos and other mechanics. And I want a special shout out to our policy consultant, none other than Elias Yerosoulis, who continues to do tremendous work in our congressional and policy outreach on Capitol Hill, and who helps significantly in arranging for all the people that you saw today on the screen, either live or via video. And I want to thank Elias for that. I want to thank all of you, our audience, for tuning in. Our next Zoom presentation most likely will be towards the latter part of May, when we will commemorate the Battle of Crete. You heard it time and time again today that commemoration of events is important, and we strongly believe that here at the American Hellenic Institute, that we need to commemorate all things in the Greek American world and the Greek world, separated world, that also are important to Western interests and Western values. And we believe certainly Greece's heroic efforts in World War II and the Battle of Crete are worthy of such a commemoration. So until such time, I wish everyone a great day. Kalo Pascha, happy Easter, Kaya Anastasi, and be safe out there. Thank you once again for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you on our next Zoom, but preferably we'd love to see you live and in person very soon. Thank you once again, and have a nice day.